Congratulations! You just found out you're going to become a dad for the first time. You're absolutely buzzing about it, but at the same time, you are cacking your pants because you have no idea what comes next. Let's face it, keeping a tiny human alive, that's quite a big responsibility, and things did not go so well for that Tamagotchi you had once. But before you even meet your little bundle of joy, you need to work out how best to support your pregnant partner over the next 9 months. Don't panic. We're going to get through this together, my friend, I promise. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what you can expect in the first trimester, which is roughly up to about the 12-week mark, including some things that I wish people had told me first. Why? If you're like me, you've probably already learned that there's loads of information out there for pregnant women. And let's be honest, they get a marginally rougher end of the deal having to push a tiny human out of their hoo-ha, so that's fair enough. But there's not as much out there to support guys, especially in the UK, so I wanted to create a little bit more information about what you might expect from a male perspective. My wife Lauren is about 17 weeks at the time of recording, so in addition to documenting her progress on this channel as she gradually balloons to the size of a small bungalow, I'll be sharing with you what I've learned so you don't make the mistakes that I inevitably will. So without further ado, first is getting the right help. Although it's probably pretty obvious that you're going to need to tell a medical professional at some point, we didn't know how you go about doing this or when. The NHS advised you should let your GP or local midwife service know as soon as you were pregnant, certainly before 8 weeks into the pregnancy. For us, we completed a web form similar to an e-consult form, and then the doctors told us to let the local hospital know. If you've got any concerns or you're not sure how to play this, the best thing you can do is just contact your GP surgery and they could advise you what you need to do locally. Bloatedness. Now this one caught me out. This kicked in around sort of week 5, week 6 and had a pretty dramatic effect. In addition to Lauren feeling pretty gross, let's just say she wasn't a lot of fun to share a duvet with. Between week 6 to 12, she generated enough wind to power a small country. If we're serious about doing away with climate change, we need to bin off the fossil fuels and hook pregnant women up to the national grid instead. Thankfully, this has eased up with time. The reason women feel bloated during pregnancy is because hormones cause the muscles around the womb to relax to make room for the growing baby. So if your partner is feeling particularly self-conscious about this, reassure them that it's totally normal. But you might want to invest in one of these. Morning sickness. Now this one's very well known and it's real. The NHS advised that 8 out of every 10 women either feel sick, are physically sick, or both during their pregnancy. Yummy. But don't be fooled by the name. It doesn't only affect women in the morning, and it can affect every woman really differently. In Lauren's case, this came on from about week 7, and although she did feel sick, she very quickly worked out that as long as she ate something, she immediately felt better. So understandably, she was very quickly eating us out of house and home. The neighbours have been complaining recently about the foxes going through the bins. But anyway, I definitely recommend making sure you've got enough snacks lying around the house for your partner, or in your car glove box, or in your coat pocket, just to make sure you've got all bases covered when the mood strikes. Building up to the 12-week scan. Now, for most people, this will be their first ultrasound of the baby. And the most stressful part of the building up to that appointment for us was that your partner has to come with a full bladder so that the person doing the scan, known as a sonographer, has the best opportunity to be able to see the baby. Now, naturally, this is a tightrope. You obviously want your partner to have a full bladder to enable the scan, but at the same time, you don't want them to relieve themselves in the corridor beforehand, as funny as that would be for you. Now, there's lots of contrasting information out there, but generally speaking, if your partner aims to drink about a pint or half a litre of water about an hour before the scan, that should do them about right. As for the scan itself, you're pretty much just there for moral support. The two of you will be invited into a private room, your partner will lie down on the bed, and you'll probably be put on some little 3-legged chair in the corner. The sonographer will then ask your partner to lift their top up and uncover their tummy, and then they'll put some special gel on. They then have a little probe device that they'll gently put a little bit of pressure on, but it won't hurt your partner. The images of your baby will then appear in black and white on the screen from the ultrasound, and there's a good chance you might be able to hear the heartbeat. For me, that was the first, oh shit, this is really happening moment. Be prepared that if your baby isn't in the right position, they might get your partner to move around a little bit. At ours, the baby was being awkward, which reassures me that it's mine. So they got Lauren to get up and do star jumps. I actually laughed out loud when they said that because I thought they were joking, but no, they went full military boot camp on her. For most people, this will be your dating scan. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't mean that you or the baby get taken for dinner and drinks, but it should give you an idea of when your due date is. Now, I should point out we had a slightly less traditional experience. I've actually got a genetic condition in my family, which meant we had some additional things to consider. I'll talk about that in another video. But essentially, we had an early scan, so we had our dating scan at 9 weeks. Now, I always assumed this was a fairly exact science. You go in, you tell them when you got your freak on, they tell you when the due date is, boom. Instead, during the scan, the nurse measured the little blob from head to bum, and based on the length of that, they tell you when the due date is. Now, because we had scans at 9 and 12 weeks, our due date has actually moved twice already. So originally they thought it was going to be the 28th of June. At the 9-week scan, they said the 26th of June. At 12 weeks, they told us the 24th of June. So at this rate, we're expecting the baby in about mid-May. Now, I didn't know, in most cases, you have to pay for photos of your scans. I'm having a baby. I'm not riding the log flume at Alton Towers. I know the NHS is skint, but come on. I'm surprised they don't try and send you out through the gift shop and try and flog you a magnet on a key ring. To make things worse, in our case, you have to pay for the photos in advance. So even if the photos are crap, you still paid £15 for this little image of a blob. Have you ever noticed how everyone's 12-week scan photo looks exactly the same? Part of me wonders if they just zoom in really close on a baked bean and put it in black and white. By the way, before I continue, hopefully you found at least some of this remotely helpful or interesting. As I scale the rest of this pregnancy mountain, I'm going to be bringing you reviews of baby products, advice from professionals, tips from new parents and parents-to-be. So why not subscribe to this channel and come along on the journey with us, and hopefully we can build a little community of capable-ish new parents. Now, friends, family, and social functions. A lot of people are very cautious about who they mention the pregnancy to in the first trimester, as unfortunately, this is when the risk of miscarriage is highest. But the people around you, especially those closest to you, are usually pretty savvy. We're both quite social people, and we were at a lot of events where we would both usually drink. And people used to ask Lauren a lot why she wasn't drinking, with quite a suspicious look in their eye. If you don't want to let the cat out of the bag, it's always good to have a plausible excuse up your sleeve. We quite liked, or I'm really struggling, I'm still really hungover from last night, or the classic, or I'm on antibiotics at the moment. But you can only use that so many times with certain groups of friends. So really, you need to have a think about what you're going to be able to get away with. And let's be honest, there's room to be way more original than that. With our close friends, we actually came unstuck. We already had a joint birthday due in the calendar. So when we were there, everyone kept trying to buy Lauren shots. So in the end, we decided we were going to have to just lean into it and tell everybody. And because we're a little bit extra, we wanted to have a little bit of fun with it. So we did this kind of grand reveal.
3, 2, 1.
Which might be something you want to do yourself, but of course that is completely down to personal preference. But it's always good to have a plan before you attend gatherings or events, just in case you get that question that you're not quite ready for yet. Now, it's really important to stress, this is by no means an exhaustive list, and everyone's experience is going to be really different. So if you feel like I've missed something important, or you want to talk about your experience, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.